Good morning, evening, and afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the first PubCast. Placeholder name for now. But yes, with me, Grave, and DeathStar, we're starting a brand new podcast.
What's up, guys?
It's going to be great. It's a general gaming podcast, talking about general gaming stuff, not just Infinity Wars as we've been known for previously. So I hope you enjoy it. A lot of people said we should do this, so we are.
Yes.
Pretty much. So, for those of you that don't know us, I'm Novablue. I'm a Twitch streamer, YouTuber. That's pretty much it at the moment. Game design student as well. So, if you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves as well.
Hi, I'm Gravecrawler. I stream regularly on Twitch, and I'm just a general gamer who just likes sharing my opinions to people. So,
and if you don't know, he is literally the Simon Cowell of the gaming community.
Yeah, actually, he is actually. That would make sense.
You've been labeled with that, and that is what you're going to be stuck with. So.
yeah, exactly. I'm going to be so mean today about some games, I swear.
That's fine. I'm DeathStar. I haven't been streaming as much recently, but I will be getting back to doing it again. I'm mostly into MMOs type games, RPGs, digital card games in general, though I don't play actual physical card games as much as I used to. But I just enjoy games, learning, reading, playing games. Not much into things like first-person shooters and things like that, but I'm open to learn and test other genres to see if I find something that I enjoy. But other than that, it's just enjoy games. I would love to be able to do this for a living.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
Sit on my couch and talk about games all day and get paid.
Oh yes, wouldn't we all?
Badass.
So, other than that, met Nova back in, through playing Infinity Wars, and Grave the same, and we kind of hit it off. We have a chemistry, so to speak.
Much love in the channel.
Yes. But the feels, man, the feels.
But one thing I will say to people watching, as I said, this is not a tester, but more of we are going to be doing this podcast, but how the format is and how it's laid out could completely change. So we do want your criticism on how this is, how the format is, what you would like to see in it. We're potentially thinking about doing reviews and stuff like this at the end, reviewing a game each week between all of us, and seeing how that goes and stuff. But for the moment, we're going to talk about lots of different stuff, what we've been playing, what we're looking forward to, and all sorts of stuff. So we've got a bunch of games on the agenda and a bunch of stuff to talk about. So might as well get stuck in there. So this week, this week and last week, what have you guys been playing?
DeathStar, you first.
Oh, wow. I don't like going first. But anyway, for me, past couple of weeks, I have been neck deep in Archeage. Right now, we just got done with our closed beta 4 yesterday, and it's a game that I'm looking forward to. I'm not going to get a whole lot into it, because there's a huge announcement coming out on Friday about it. So we're not really sure what that is going to be, because right now, like I said,
speculation.
These opinions are just my own, and you cannot be held liable for anything that DeathStar says on this podcast.
You should put that in the writing.
Exactly. A little streamer across, or I could lower my voice. These are not that of the publishers or the makers of these games. So anyway, what I would like to see would be a final closed beta 5, and then an announcement for open beta. For open beta to be a week long, so that people can come in and get addicted to the game. And during the course of the open beta to be an announcement for when the launch of the game will be. Literally, there is so much speculation right now on what's going to happen on Friday and what they're going to say, but really no one knows. There is even talk about adding 2 new races into the game. Dwarves being one, and another race, which is kind of like a dragon type race. But again, these are all speculations. The game has been out in Korea and Russia now. Korea for about 1.5 years, and Russia, they got out of beta not too long ago. And
How is it being received over there then?
Well, That's kind of one of those things that it was received well. And the way they're rolling things out is we're kind of behind them in all the changes, because another studio called XL Games is the actual producer of the game. And so therefore, any changes that or anything that we get has already been implemented over in Korea.
Oh, okay.
And so they have to be localized for us and things like that. But there are a lot of things that people like over there that are real happy about, that coming here they're not going to be too thrilled about, because we play differently in North America than they do in Korea, or let's say over there in that in that area, because they're fine with the grindy type things, the repetitive tasks and things like that.
Yes.
Whereas over here we're not so. We get tired of that.
I mean, you look at Aeon. I mean, Jesus.
Oh God.
Really quick, we get really tired of that quickly.
Yeah,
so
we do.
There are some things that they're doing for us, in North America that they're not exactly having over there. So I'm not really sure about the reception over there. It seems like it's going well over there, but I don't have any conversations with people that actually play in Korea or Russia, because they're closed. You literally have to go through hacks and things like that to even play over there, because they don't even allow you to play on their servers. Whereas here in North America, we're not. You could play from anywhere in the world. Whereas if you're in Korea, you have to be a Korean. If you're a Russian, you have to be playing from Russia. So, and it's just really difficult to gauge how they feel about the game over there. I know that over here in North America, and the North America release is a lot of hype. And even people that have been playing for a long in beta, who are like chomping at the bit to get into it, are like, let's release. So I'm hoping that, like I said, another closed beta, open beta announcement, and then an announcement shortly thereafter for launch of the game. But anyway, so one of the things that I've been doing is, for the first time for me, because my guild was big enough, I'm going to give a shout out to Grievance Global Gaming, who's the guild that I'm a part of and been a part of for 2 years. It's basically a family. They play all genres of games. We have a huge TeamSpeak server, and basically it's a family. You can go from one game to another within the guild. You just let people know, say I'm transferring to WildStar, or I'm transferring to ESO Online.
Well, that's cool.
And so really cool. You don't lose your guild tag, so you are always around people. The faces, the names may change in the game, but the faces are really familiar. The leadership is always familiar, and their leadership is rock solid. So this past week, we got to get in our first naval battle, because you can ship build in this game. So you don't just have a ship,
cool. You
build your ship. And so we got a galleon with a bunch of cannons.
Obviously, God.
And not everyone, most people think that if you have to be high level. We, most of our cannons were manned by our low level players, so they actually could get involved in the PvP without having to be level 50.
That's really cool.
So we went out on the ocean, and we were looking for trouble. We, well, you have what's called trade pack runs, where you can go to a different area, which you're normally, you can do it within your country, so to speak, and you can turn it in for gold, which is cool, but you get more money and resources if you go overseas into an area of the other faction. So either hop on a boat, or the boat is the way to go to most of these places. You hop on a boat, or you can swim.
Oh God, doesn't that take ages?
It's just
or you can get a rowboat.
Auto run button.
Or it's better when you have a larger ship, because you can fit more people on with trade packs. And when you have a trade pack on, you can't fly, you can't run fast. It's just like real life. You're carrying this heavy, giant thing on your back that you have to go turn in another continent. So we had a bunch of us on the ship. We had trade packs, and we're going to go turn them in on an island, which is kind of like the pirate island. It's the only place that pirates can go to trade without getting killed on site, because they're KOS to every faction in the game. So we went to this little island called Friedrich Island, and to turn in our trade packs. And so, we met up with some, they're called Reds, while we were going on our way there on a ship battle. And then while we got there on the island, and it was it met chaos and fun and death and
Did you win, most importantly?
Yes, we did.
Well, that's good. That's good.
That's awesome.
That's all that matters.
So, but the fun thing is that I've never been a PvP player. I never really enjoyed it because I felt that PvP was always like, you had the open world where you could explore, do dungeons and things like that, and you had PvP, and PvP never made sense to me, as it just felt like, okay, we're going to stick this in for people who like to kill each other.
Yeah.
And in Archeage, it's an integral part of the game where you PvP for a reason. It's not like it's an afterthought, and it's not.
No, I get where you're coming from with that. Yeah,
it's something that you just do to have something else to grind and do. You know, it's a part of the game, and it's fun. You're not too overly powered. You know, even though there are classes obviously which are better than others, but it's just a whole ton of fun, and I actually enjoy PvP now, so I actually look for it.
Okay, so it's changed your experience quite a lot then. That's interesting.
Yeah, it has. It really has changed how I feel about it. So that's what I've been doing is playing Archeage, and hopefully, you know, when they do the announcement, the next time we do the PubCast, I'll be able to, you know, do some convincing.
Yes.
Just check it out.
I want to
one thing that we've gotten is a lot of people from WildStar. Because WildStar was the next.
Yeah, there was a lot of like, okay, a lot of people going to WildStar waiting for Archeage, or they're like WildStar or Archeage kind of thing.
Yeah, and I
think
and that was a huge debate at that time: Archeage or WildStar, or Archeage. And I know that you guys took off and made a guild. I don't, you know, and I haven't heard anything about it. So, you know, either you or Nova Grave can tell me what happened with that, and are you guys still playing or what?
Wow, it's an interesting
we can actually,
yeah, we can. For me right now, actually, that was an interesting one. I actually had a conversation with a friend about this recently because we'd been playing for quite a while, got to max level, did a load of stuff, thought it was incredible. There's one problem, though, and that's just, since I've moved house recently, I just haven't gone back to play it yet. And I, for the life of me, can't work out why. On paper, everything in WildStar is a really, really solid game, like really good. I've had no major complaints about the game as of yet. It's just that it hasn't grabbed me enough to pull me back in and keep me there consistently recently. So right now I'm having this debate as to whether I continue playing or hop ship to another MMO or what right now. But the problem is also obviously time investment. You're thinking, oh, should I stick it out for a little bit longer? Also, the other problem, which maybe a problem in Archeage even more, and I was going to ask you about this, is that how is solo playing versus having to be in a large guild? Because we're finding right now, I know when me and Nova set up our guild, is that trying to find enough people, not only enough people, but enough active, good, consistent people to do all of the content that most people want to do is a very difficult thing.
Yeah, and apparently, I'll just chime in quickly. Apparently, I read an article, I think a couple of days ago, actually saying from WildStar about how it's really hard to find people to do stuff with that are hardcore enough or that you want to do these big raids with. There's only like on each server, it's apparently the population is diminished a lot.
Yeah, from what I understand, a lot of people were disgruntled. One of the things that, I don't know for sure because I'm not a follower of Archeage, is that one thing that they said that they promised they were going to do that they said they're not going to do is releases every month. Like they just went away from doing that, which upset a lot of people because they promised that and then went back on it. And the other thing is the grind at high levels for, I guess it's called attunement.
Yeah,
that you do. Then they say they said they're going to fix that, but at the moment they say it's a huge grind for people to be able to get to the next level, to be able to do the hardcore dungeons and things like that. Because if you can't get like a silver, again, I'm just speaking from
silver means you have to finish that dungeon in a certain amount of time without dying.
And a lot of people can't. And therefore, they're being locked out of being able to progress, which would be, for me, a huge thing. Whereas in Archeage, we have a raid instance, but it's not like a mandatory raid instance. You don't usually you solo play. You could solo all the way to 50, which is max level right now. They have dungeons that you can do if you choose to do them, which low level it's 3 people, and then the higher level dungeons are 5 people. Finding people to do those things are super, super easy because everything else is in the open world. So if you want to do something, you're going to do it in the open world. You don't need to have a group of people to do them, you know. And if you're going to be like in the end game, it's called the end game zone right now is called Hasla. And it's the one grind in the game, which most people don't mind doing. It's for your high tier weapon. And so therefore you have to get tokens, and it's open PvP world. So you don't usually want to go there by yourself. I mean, there is a peacetime. There is a peacetime during that time. It's a 2-hour period, a couple times a day where it's 2 hours apiece where no one can attack anyone. But then that means usually there's like 150 people there in the zone because it's peacetime. But otherwise, you usually don't want to travel alone. You usually want to have if you're with a guild, that usually never is an issue. And getting a good guild in this game is, in Archeage at least, is a mandatory. You can get stuff done, but it's so much harder alone. I mean, you can have a farm by yourself. You can have a house by yourself. You can do all the raising of the resources you need, but it's so much harder to do alone. Where this game, where a lot of MMOs in the past, at least recently, have made it so that you can do everything alone. You don't ever have to talk to another person. This game, it hurts you to not be in part of the community, which is why I play MMO.
Of course.
If I want to play solo, I'll play a game I'll play a solo game at home on a console. If I wanted to just be alone in an RPG.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
So I think that's why when it came to WildStar, like I got on, loved everything about it, but like part of the reason why I think it might be that I've fallen out of favor with it is I ended up getting into the same rut that I did with World of Warcraft, where it was essentially log on, do your dailies and be a good boy, and then maybe you can reward yourself by doing a dungeon or two, and then in the future, maybe if you get your ass into gear, you might be able to get a guild together, then maybe get some runs together. And what made it worse in WildStar is that there's things like so you have crystals that you get through doing dailies and weeklies and stuff like that. And then eventually, the idea is that those things can be spent on things like spec points. Now, the problem is that to basically get your character to a point that he's fully specced out, if I remember,
it was 10 months to get your character fully specced out.
Of dailies.
That was the shortest amount of time that you could do it in because it was a weekly cap.
I'm a little bit disenfranchised by that, and I appreciate that there's elements there for the hardcore player, but I don't know whether necessarily that's the right way to implement it, whereas basically essentially saying, in a minor way, but still a way, there's a power level difference between you and someone else.
Well, there will be, because there was quite a lot of
It's not just gear
points
as well. It's not just gear. It's like another treadmill, basically.
And newer players joining in 10 months' time are going to have a really hard time. So he's saying, like, oh, we're looking for people for raid, but you have to have full spec points, and there's going to be no one with it. Because
there's another problem as well that I considered. I wanted to level an alt. Can you imagine that? Because it doesn't cross over either.
No,
if I've got an ult, I need to do exactly the same thing for that ult and make sure I do my dailies on that one as well. So it's just a couple of things to change in WildStar, and I think it could be incredible still.
I think that's not the point, because like for me, the reasons why I kind of stopped playing was I just didn't have the time. Because it is. Your MMO, just any MMO, you need time. You need
a lot of time.
And I was getting a little bit annoyed just logging in doing dailies, and I know I probably should have expected that. But I've done that so much before, because I did that for a long time in Rift.
Yes.
I did like at least 9-10 months of 5 days a week, 4 hours raiding every day kind of thing. So I've done the hardcore raiding thing before, and I just thought I didn't have the time.
Do you think that would be a system where people could, like, where an MMO won't just have to rely on just consistent time grinding to keep its MMO player base, and it could just be based off like how incredible the game is and how much content they're putting out, etc., rather than just here's a generic quest, go and do it 1,000 times over for X amount of days until you get the one sword, the carrot on the stick thing. I don't know. I just wonder whether that's ever going to happen again.
I know what you mean. I know a lot of people like that kind of MMO because that's what an MMO is.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's one of those things where, I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it type mentality.
I completely agree, and it's a good system.
I haven't seen anyone. I mean, ESO tried to do it a bit differently. A great story, great background. It just wasn't implemented as well as the.
Well, I think that was a bit different because the combat in that just felt so clunky.
Yeah, but the point is, great story. They tried to do things a bit differently
Mm-hmm.
with the story. And from what I understand, I played it in beta.
Mm-hmm.
The story was great, but everything else around it just seemed to not match up to.
Yeah. Well, it's because they just obviously use the whole Elder Scrolls lore, which is fantastic.
Absolutely.
We have to admit, it is like the best part of all the Elder Scrolls game is the lore. So they've got the huge. They had this huge kind of. I don't know. It seemed that they had the huge weight behind them because of the lore. So they had. Everyone expected so much, and they kind of didn't really deliver on.
Live up to the hype. The other thing for me with that game that was also when I played Star Wars: The Old Republic, it was really guilty of as well. Is that as much as when the chief executive over a trailer is trying to sell the game to you and is saying, "Look at this dynamic single player, incredible storyline content." The point is that always frustrated me when it came to me actually playing it, is that you play the game and realize that you haven't spoken to your friends in an hour. You'd realize that you've told your friend to shut up over Skype because you can't hear what's going on in your single player storyline. Oh, wait, it's an MMO. And the problem is that the two don't connect up wholly together quite yet, in that no one's managed to create that seamless universe where you're not either playing a single player or an MMO. It feels like you kind of, why would I pay an MMO subscription to essentially play a storyline single player that's not as good as Skyrim, but not as good as other MMOs out there in terms of combat.
Although, but I will say about SWTOR is that was the best leveling experience in any MMO I've ever played, and I will always stand by that. The end game was incredible.
When it was like subscription based, because I've been back since it's free to play, and I'm not happy with what they've done.
I left before it went free to play.
I think it was horrific. There's quite quest rewards at low level that you have to buy with money and stuff like that, and you're like, what?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you heard me. There's loads of weird stuff.
I'm remembering how it was.
Completely, and it was a great leveling experience.
Yeah, it was, and that's it. When I look at an MMO, I look for more of the kind of end game because essentially that is an MMO.
Yes.
If there's no end game, you're not reaching for anything.
No.
The leveling for me is just a kind of
means to an end.
Exactly, a means to an end. So. But that was the best means to an end I've ever played.
It was.
But there was no end.
I never played SWTOR. I played it in beta. I beta test a lot of games. I played it in beta. I just didn't, at the time, I was playing Rift, and I just could not justify another game that I was going to play.
That's fair. Yeah. But it was really cool because I've added the space battles and stuff now apparently, and
they've added a load of cool stuff. It's just that there's apparently still dwindling population issues for the game. There's still a hardcore small player base, but it's I wasn't a huge fan of SWTOR, but especially now and how it is now. I don't think it matches up well, and just the amount of money they sunk into it as well, how many millions they spent on it. For all the storyline dialogue just felt a bit wasted for me for the MMO aspect. Although it's interesting hearing some of the chief executives talk about the design philosophy behind the game and how actually, this is a really interesting thing, they actually had to, during testing, they had to strip down and put back in some of the classical MMO quests, like go and fetch 8 of this and do this, because what they actually found out during their testing is they gave everybody a load of really fun quests to consistently do, right?
Yeah.
And during their testing, they actually realized that people, after a while, they go to the starter area, go, wow, this is incredible, and then go, nah, after a couple of levels. They realize the reason why it is because it's by comparison to the quests they've done before. So if you set the bar really high and have incredible quests, the problem is once you set that bar really high, you have to just keep upping and upping and upping it.
Oh, yeah.
If you start it really low and have crappy grind quests and then build it up a little bit, it feels better to a player.
Oh, I agree. That happens in a lot of games in general at the moment. When game companies they'll show the first 10-15 minutes of their game.
Yeah.
Like first-person shooter game, whatever, any game. They show the first 15 minutes of the intro, and it's always amazing.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like you don't see the after that bit. I
agree.
There's a lot of games companies do it. I suppose it's a good. Obviously, that's the first bit of your game. That's the first bit you make, essentially, and then that's the first bit you show as well. And you want it to be.
Look at movies. A lot of movies that come out. You see the best parts of the movie during the first minute of the commercial that they show for the movie.
Oh, and then you see all the best bits of the entire film.
That's it. It's all
in
gone.
20 minutes.
The movie, and you leave like, that's 2.5 hours of my life I want back. No, I've been there, done that, so I understand completely. So,
I'm just waiting for that next MMO personally to grab me, and I don't know what that is right now. It's hard to describe. I know what I want, but I don't think, like when I think about all the things I want, which is essentially playing with friends in a really fun, unique, different environment that has a lot of unique aspects to it. The one thing I have is that basically that's not really an MMO, sadly. I don't think there's enough innovation. It's basically a single player or a cooperative game as opposed to an MMO.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Because I don't have the time at the moment, I'm playing stuff that's either single player or multiplayer, but it's just fairly quick. You can jump in half an hour, play a game with your mates, and then log off for the evening. Like,
I'm very much an instant gratification gamer right now. Like, I can't justify big time sinks in general to a lot of different games as well. But who knows? Archeage, I've been looking at Archeage, and there's still some stuff I really like about Archeage, and I always have done about Archeage. So who knows? Maybe when that goes open beta, I might give that a try.
Worst case scenario, you try an open beta if you don't like it, and it's free. It's a free to play game, so. I mean, yes, there are going to be restrictions on it, but but to get in the game and to learn the game to see if you like it, free to play, you can't beat that.
No, exactly.
And worst case scenario, you won't like it. Best case scenario, you'll want to be a patron, which is their subscription base, and you'll end up playing.
And it's under the umbrella of Trion Worlds, and I've trusted Rift in the past, and I played Rift for an extensive period of time, so I don't see any reason why I wouldn't trust their next product.
Honestly, every time people keep talking about it to me, the more I maybe want to try it. But then I'm also like, I don't want to play it and not have the time for it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing about the game, and so we can move on, the thing about the game is that you can play the game how you want. If, like I said, if you don't have time to log in, you can log in enough to do farming. Or if you're an armor crafter, you can log in to make weapons. Or you can, I mean, there's so many different things that you can do that aren't exactly quest-based, because you can level off farming, you can level off mining, you can level off doing husbandry on a farm.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So
is it saying that it is leveling, or is it actually?
No,
leveling?
It's actual leveling. It's actually.
Oh wow.
Because
it's not like games where it's like, okay, you can level entirely by PvP, but actually it takes 4 times longer.
It does take longer. I actually was reading an article. I'm trying to get us off so we can start talking about other stuff.
Sorry.
But no, it's fine. I read an article about a guy who in Pandora, when Pandora came out, leveled to max level 90 without leaving the starting zone by mining and doing herbs.
Wow,
it took him 170 days to do it.
That guy! I heard about
170.
Wow,
that's just awkward.
But the point is that he was the only 90 in that zone, because once you leave, you can't go back because you have to swear an allegiance to Horde or Alliance. So he was a 90 in the starting Pandaren zone.
Oh god!
And he only did it because someone said he couldn't do it.
Jesus.
And he couldn't do it by killing mobs, because the mobs, you'll outlevel the mob. So you had to find another. So he actually leveled without an alliance from 1 to 90 in the starting zone, which I thought was just absolutely amazing that he did that. Wondering why he did it, but reading the article, he said that because someone said that he couldn't do it, and so he did it to prove a point. But 170 days is a lot of time. But I mean, I don't think that's 170 days real game time. I think that's 170 days, just spread out over the course of, whatever. But but in Archeage, you don't have to. Your experience goes towards your gaming experience. So you're leveling, even if you're, mining, for a couple of hours, because you really don't have time to devote to it. You're still going to be getting experience towards your level, so that you won't think that you're not accomplishing something.
To summarize the MMO thing in general, though, there's no other MMOs right now as well. I've been a big MMO fan in the past.
Same here.
Right now, Archeage has marginal interest for me. I've got my eye on it. Outside of that, nothing in the MMO genre right now is exciting me.
Because obviously you got Warlords of Draenor coming up as well.
If I hear that one more time, I've watched so many beta footage. I've watched hours of beta footage, and I'm just like, is this what you've got? Like, seriously? I've been away from your game since, I raided in Wrath and then just left. And I haven't been there since. And it's just like, The graphics are updated. They don't even look that great by comparison to a lot of other MMOs. They're not selling enough of the new features to me outside of that, and it just feels like a massive
what
waste.
They're doing is they're taking other features from other games that are coming out at the moment, like the player housing and stuff like that from WildStar, which was amazing.
It's really cool. Loved it.
And they're taking that and just kind of adding it in. And it just seems like they're trying to keep up with the times, but maybe they'll succeed, maybe they'll not. We'll see.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that's like in the next few months that are going to capture my attention. I mean, they have Black Sands, they have EverQuest,
I've looked
Next, which is long time off.
Yeah, that's not even
I love the look of Next, but it's like isn't it not out till next year, right? Like late next year.
At the very minimum, it's going to be next year. Yeah. So, but other than that, there really isn't anything down the pike. So it will either be play something old, that I liked at one point, or like I said, right now, Archeage is my flavor of the month for right now. So.
Yeah.
So anyway, Nova, we haven't discussed what you've been doing.
What I've been doing this week, I've this past couple of weeks, I've picked up a couple of new stuff actually. Moving away on my stream, moving away for a little bit from Infinity Wars, been playing Civ and the new Borderlands. Those are not the new Borderlands 2. Picking that back up again because I'm a massive Borderlands fan, and Borderlands 2, I haven't played it since because you could level to 50, that was the max level before, and you played through the game twice, and I got to the stage where I was farming bosses for all the legendary weapons and stuff, similar to the feel of kind of Diablo. You know what I mean? Just farming bosses for legendaries.
God, I know that feeling too well.
And I got a majority of the legendaries in the game. It took forever, but and then they brought in the new level cap, but I'd left after they brought that in. But now they've brought up this new level cap and stuff, and this new extra hard mode where all these mobs are like higher level than you, and I've just kind of picked it up again. In hindsight, not ready for, but just because I'm so hyped for Borderlands the pre-sequel.
Yes.
Which will be out in about a month's time.
Yes. But yeah,
it's under a month. No,
it's under a month.
Yeah, it's under a month.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. I've never played Borderlands, so talk to me as if I'm a new player that has no idea what it is.
Yeah, well, it just the way to describe it is kind of like a FPS Diablo in the sense that you run around, you kill mobs, and it's all about the loot.
Yeah,
it's all about the loot. It's all about getting these guns. But the way they do their gun system is really clever. They've actually made companies within the game that make different types of weapons.
Okay.
And so if you have a weapon that it's all randomly generated, all their guns are all randomly generated,
which I just think is awesome.
So they've made this awesome algorithm just to be like, right, we're going to make these random guns. So it literally just take bits of different guns, stick it all together, and then stick a title on it, and that'll dictate what potentially some of the kind of bullets or how the gun reacts.
So guns will almost certainly always be unique, right?
Yeah, and it's something like they always like joke about how we've got like 60 bazillion gun combinations, and it's true because it's all randomly generated. So there are a ridiculous amount of guns. They do have like the legendary ones which are kind of named, do the same thing, but then still all the stats are kind of rolled randomly as well.
Yeah.
Oh, so no two people would possibly have the same weapon.
No, it would be incredibly rare for people to have the same weapon. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so is it a first-person shooter?
Yeah, it's a first-person shooter, but you level up. You have skill trees.
Yeah, like an MMO.
You have skill trees like an MMO. Each character, there's 4 characters in each game. They all have a unique skill of some kind, and then you can upgrade. Like in the new one of the ones I'm going to be playing is Athena. She's got this like shield. She holds up this shield, blocks all attacks, and then she throws it like Captain America. Basically like a female Captain America. And then we've got one of the what's the Wolf
Wilhelm the Enforcer, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Wilhelm. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got these 2 little drones that he can summon that kind of one heals, one attacks, and you can summon them. But then obviously the skill trees modify their abilities in different ways, and you can play them in different styles as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just sit there and shoot them.
And other things. Oh, go on. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say other things that I really, really like about the game in general is the shooting mechanics are solid, the skill trees are solid, but then on top of that, it's not just a mindless shooter. Like it's got such a personality to it, such a humor to it, such a great art style to it as well. The whole self-shade thing is really, really cool and impressive as well, and just the drop-in, drop-out seamless co-op that it has is implemented so well. The amount of times I'm on stream,
yeah.
I'm just like, oh, I'll rock out, play a bit solo, have 3 players just hop in with me, play a bit. It doesn't affect my game in any major way or meaningful way that I'm like, oh, guys, can you just leave me alone for a bit while I play alone? No, it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
and they just leave. And that's great. And it helps me advance the storyline. The storyline, by the way, really cool.
Oh, the storyline is fantastic. Jack, the main bad guy in the second one, he is... I still stand by this. He's probably my favorite bad guy of all time in anything. He's so well voiced, so well acted. His whole storyline is fantastic. He's the bad guy that you hate and love at the same time.
Yeah. Well, those are the best. Those are the best characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the best bad guys that you're invested in, not only because they're a bad guy, but you actually feel for them, in some way, shape, or form. So when they have a character that's like that, that makes a good game.
Absolutely. Oh, definitely, yeah. But no, the humor is fantastic in Borderlands. It's so funny.
And seriously, I come from like, I'll call myself the non-believer in that I played Borderlands 1, hated the game. I thought it was really not that great. It had, the way I described it is one of those games that had incredible ideas, but its execution was terrible. Like, for me, bland environments, despite having a sweet art style that's still the same now, because it was just all like their color palette was just bland brown, and that was it, because it was an
I kind of get what you mean. There was a lot of brown in the first game.
Mad Max-esque. I saw what they were going for. It just didn't appeal to me. And then mod variation, unless you got DLC, was really weak. Like, there was like skeg dogs and psychos, and that was pretty much it. And I didn't like it for that. Whereas Borderlands 2 took everything that I felt like was wrong with Borderlands 1 and just completely sold me on it. It was incredible for it. And so that brings it, when it comes to the pre-sequel, I'm also excited about that, because obviously they got a lot of these new characters. Like Claptrap looks amazing with his whole like I call it their ultimates. I'll just call it for the sake of that, the one that you can pop every like a minute. So it like gives a random effect that can be positive or negative. So I like that random effect thing. And plus, just as a character, he's such an endearing character. So I love that they're bringing him in as a playable one, because he was such a big character in the second one.
And the first one as well.
I do pose one thing. I'll be Simon Cowell for a second.
Okay, there we go.
Do you feel like it's fair to charge full price when, from what I'm looking at, it's still incredible, but they haven't? I mean, everything, like the UI looks the same. The graphics don't look like they've been updated or overhauled in any major meaningful manner. The gameplay's still the same. I know there's the case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. However, there does come a point where it's like, are you just tacking things on and putting full price sticker to it?
Yeah, I can understand I can understand how people see it that way. Like, it looks a little bit, because Borderlands 2, I will say this, that they do with a lot of the you pay for expansion, season passes kind of stuff, and a lot of people are against that, and I understand why.
Yeah.
But in Borderlands' case, I think a lot of it is actually worth it.
Yes.
Because you do get a lot of playtime. The story is great. It's all really, really well done. So with all the DLC stuff, because a lot of people hate that you buy the game and then instantly
Why
DLC.
Do people hate DLC?
It's because a lot of companies kind of they
do it in advance and then charge you for it later, or portion it off. I get that argument, but if they genuinely say to you, like, look guys, we've stopped working on the game, they've put a marker in the sand, said like, now we're working on DLC stuff, I'm okay with it. The only time where I feel like it's bad is when, I think it was Mass Effect was the last time I remember hearing stories about how they'd actually portioned off. There was DLC content within the game discs of the original game when it shipped, and I'm like, that's dodgy. I don't like that.
No. It's when they release the game, when then instantly you can buy DLC for it. But Borderlands didn't do that. I don't think.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's convoluted though. The way Borderlands 2 does it sometimes. Like when I went to buy it, I was like, what DLC? Who? What? There's like, here's all the DLC packages. Here's all the storyline ones. Here's all the gun packages. Here's all the costume packages. I'm like, it did get a bit overwhelming, I must confess.
Honestly, when I looked,
unethical.
There was a lot, because the last time I looked, it was just literally like kind of the 4 DLCs for the expansions, and then they added all this other stuff. So I was like, whoa, okay then.
Yeah.
But no, it's
non-essential as well. Like a lot of it's cosmetic anyway, so really I don't have a huge problem ethically with it. Like if people want to buy 60p for a pretty hat, then let them go ahead and do it.
Oh yeah, no, of course. But like as you're saying, like it is the same UI. It's mostly the same mechanics, but I think it's deceptive how much they're actually adding.
Yeah, I think it is as well.
I think I've read up on this. Apparently, the gun randomization has improved even more. They've added
wow.
more kind of companies, so there's going to be more styles of guns. They've added new types of guns. There's now lasers, which are a completely new style of gun.
Okay,
I think there's
cool.
a couple of those as well. But also, you've got to remember as well. Oh, they've also added ice elemental guns as well, which is a completely new thing as well. That wasn't in before. And obviously 4 new characters as well. So
yes, all with their own unique trees and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And
plus, it's on
gravity.
a moon. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's so cool.
It's on the moon of Pandora, which is where the rest of the other 2 games are based, and it's less gravity. And they've also added an extra slot for items. They've added a breathing mask item slot as well. So there's a lot more you can do with that. So I think there's deceptively more than people are making out. Although it does look identical. It's made the same engine, same UI, as you said.
And didn't they say in a recent interview that they actually still designed it with the philosophy of last-gen consoles rather than next-gen consoles? I.e., it was more like 360 users and stuff like that, as opposed to Xbox One, PS4. I find that quite interesting.
Yeah, but I think their main demographic is Steam.
Yes,
that makes sense.
Every time it's on sale, it's always on top, like instantly.
Instantly!
Time.
It was the other day, wasn't it? And it was just straight away to the top within 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Well, speaking of that, since you brought that up, what do you guys think of Steam as a whole? I mean, Steam's been catching a lot of flack recently for, especially with their Greenlight program and things like that. Do you think Steam is because Razer supposedly is coming out with something that's going to be kind of like a platform for gamers? So do you think that Steam is going to be the end-all, be-all for gaming type things, or you think that there is actually room for someone else to come in and actually have a presence to get games to people a place, basically a clearinghouse for people to get their games?
It depends. Like, but obviously people have tried it before, like Origin and Uplay, but they're terrible. But other companies are trying it, but I think Steam has just got so much of the market already. It's like saying, will anything ever overtake League, or will anything ever overtake WoW? It's like kind of saying that someone could come out with something really good, and some people could move, but they'll always still use Steam.
I think there's a lot of questions to this one. Like, first and foremost, I'd like someone to not necessarily overtake Steam, but like with any company, like a monopoly on any market is a terrible thing.
Absolutely.
Like, it's really, really bad for creativity and productivity. Like, and I don't think that Steam is the second coming of gaming that a lot of people still hail it to be. I think there's definitely a lot of behind the scenes problems that people seem to pass off and just go, oh, it's Steam, it's okay, because Gabe Newell and Greenlight and stuff, but actually there's some really serious problems there. But on the other hand, a couple of questions I pose back might be, I can't think of any major way right now that I feel unfulfilled in Steam, where some other company could come along and go, hey, here's this unique selling feature that will drag you off Steam. And Steam is just a safe bet.
That's it. It's safe.
They have a plethora of different games, whereas other companies can't physically get that kind of like library overnight. Even competing games companies just can't do it.
Yeah.
So sadly, the answer is I don't think anything will come along anytime soon, but I would like there to be more competition in the future. And the problem is I'm as guilty as anybody else. I'm saying I want there to be competition, yet I'm not willing to jump ship to another company, which is ironic,
it's
but
kind of
it's
like
true.
Twitch. It's kind of like Twitch with
exactly like Twitch.
They have Hitbox. Hitbox seems on paper to be a better alternative to Steam, but no one's willing. A lot of people aren't willing to jump to Hitbox to try it, because I tried it once. I mean, literally, there was no lag. It was like almost instantaneous gratification if someone chatted in the chat, but no one wants to go and try it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I guess because of the bad rap that it has, the original owners of the company really screwed the pooch with their subscriber base that had subscription and they were making money. They never got paid.
Exactly.
But the other thing that goes along with this Steam thing as well is that also people love a good deal. And the fact of the matter is, because Steam has so much sway in the gaming world, which is also a bad thing, might I add, as well, because I've heard a lot of stories about bullying games companies into like cheapening their games, which is you could argue brings up a whole different argument about the cheapening of gaming in general. But for you as a consumer, it does mean bottom dollar prices for games, and other games like other companies I don't think will be able to compete with Steam just on the basis of like, why would I go to another company that's got less games, costs more money, is less proven, and may not have as much of a future, and put money into it when I could just go, here you go, Steam, take more of it.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, Steam advertising is literally all you have to do is put a picture of it on the main page, and it will sell a ton.
Yeah.
Like, they have so much power.
And it goes on the front page, and it'll sell a ton.
Yeah, they have so much power. I mean, like, when I'm looking for new games to play, it's like, I know it's probably going to sound really bad, but I struggle to, where else do I look?
We've both had that conversation, haven't we?
We've both had
where else
conversation,
do you go? It's like, well, if there's an EA game, it's Origin, but obviously that's just EA only games. Then Uplay is just obviously Ubisoft only games. Like, there is other companies out there, I believe, but nothing that I've heard majorly that is certainly not in this company has been heavily advertised or has shown any like reason for me to go and look at it.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at places like Green Man Gaming and Humble Bundle.
Yeah.
Yes.
But most of those are Steam keys anyway.
Exactly.
So it's like...
But
yeah, go ahead,
what
DeathStar.
happens to places like GameStop and EB Games and well, you know, a lot of them are the same, but now there's no reason to go to a local store to go get a game.
I haven't bought a game from a store,
you know, because now you get them all online. Even now with Xbox One and PlayStation, you can buy digital copies of the game, and you never have to step foot inside of a store anymore to buy a game. So that brings up a whole nother thing. You know, that you know, what about the businesses that actually are in the market for that sell these things, that specialize in these? Are these now going the way of the CD and the and the cassette tape?
Well, no, I think they are, because that's just, I think that's the natural evolution. I know it sucks for a lot of companies, but that's just how it is, because for the people shipping the game, it's cheaper to ship a download than it is to ship a case with manuals and everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I get that. It's just that, you know, now that we're talking about that, it's one of those things where the evolution of gaming now has gotten to the point where everything is like coming offline, and so you don't even you don't have to go in and pick up a box and turn around the back and read. You know, hey, this may be a cool game, and take the chance of buying it, and it be horrible.
Well, the thing is, a lot of like new games coming out and everything on PlayStation, PC, whatever. If you do go to the shop, they're so expensive. You get like you can't nowadays just look at the back of a box and think, "Oh, I want to play that."
Yeah.
I honestly can't do that anymore. I have to actually look into the game. I have to read a couple of reviews on it. I have to look at gameplay to even consider buying it nowadays. And I think a lot of people like that as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think it is heading that route. But there are shops like, you probably use it, Grave, called CEX, Computer Exchange, in the UK. You probably have something similar in the States. But it's basically, you trade in your game, they give you X amount of credit, and then you can get second-hand stuff, which I think is happening a lot, especially with console stuff. You play it, you finish it, you trade it in, you get 25 quid off your next game, you pull it out, it's just so much cheaper, because I mean, I used to do it all the time.
Yeah, it is. That here with EA Games and GameStop. I couldn't think of the name. Yeah, so you could do that. You know, here you buy a game. You know, as long as it's a newer title.
Yeah, exactly.
You get more money for it. I mean, they do take older titles, but obviously the scale slides, and the more popular games obviously hold their value more.
Yeah.
And so you can play something, you know, enjoy it, and then take it back. Whereas with this, when you do digital, you can't do that, because the copy is your copy. You can't trade it off to your friend. There's that part of it that, you know, once you buy it, you bought it. If you don't like it, guess what? You don't like it. You can go back to the store and say, you know, even though I'm going to get a discount, you know, I want to get something else, you know, from, you know, if I don't like this game.
Yeah, exactly.
Or trade it to your buddy for a game. So speaking of games that I like that I'm coming out, talking about Borderlands, I'm kind of really hyped on Dragon Age, the Inquisition.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
really excited about that. I'm really excited about that. I played the original Dragon Age back when it first came out back in 2009.
Yes.
I bought all the DLCs for it,
Oh,
and
love
all the
that game.
DLCs were really, really good too. That when we were
Yes.
talking about DLCs before, you want, if you buy one, you want it to add something to the game that you're buying. You don't want to, buy cosmetics. I mean, personally, I don't. I don't want to pay for cosmetics. If I want to, purchase something, I want it to be something that I'm actually going to enjoy. And DLCs for Origins were absolutely amazing. It came out on Xbox and PlayStation 3, but it was super popular, and I enjoyed playing it.
It was an incredible game.
Absolutely. And then they came out with Dragon Age 2, which was the sequel. And it was bad.
It was awful. It was so bad. Like they basically they had like the action combat in number 2, and I get it, but the problem. Oh, is DeathStar lagging for you, Nova, or is it just me?
No, I think everyone's lagging a little bit.
Oh right,
it's alright though. It seems to it's fixed itself. I think it's alright.
Yeah, it's for me. Like number 2 was just too linear for a start. They had a good idea with the action combat, but fundamentally that was the only thing dragging it through. The characters and stuff were okay, but nothing as memorable as 1 in any way, shape, or form.
No, my issue was that the storyline, which was a huge draw in Origins, the story made no sense, really. You kind of wandered around, skipping through acts that felt like they were just mashed together, and every choice felt pointless, whereas in Origins, your choices affected everything. It affected
massively.
It affected how you reacted in the world. It affected how your interactions were with each character. It just wasn't, to me, it wasn't a horrible game, but it didn't live up to the hype of what Origins was. So, which brings us to the new one, Inquisition.
Which is why I'm so hyped for it. Like,
it is. Yeah. The reviews have been so positive. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'll put my piece. Like, I've not played any of the Dragon Age games, so no one flame me, shoot me down for it, because I know people will. But I've just not played them. They're not.
Burn him for witchcraft.
Yeah.
They've just not piqued my interest. That's all.
That's fair enough. I can understand that. But this one, like, there's so much stuff that I think they've combined together to hopefully, fingers crossed, bring out an incredible game. So for me, they've got that story-driven, like meaningful impact choices on what you do in the world. They've got the whole like Paragon system where the positive, negative, neutral decisions. That's back, and that works fine. That's classic BioWare. They need to do that to continue. And there's nothing wrong with that as far as I see. Apparently, like they've got so many more branches the way the story can go now, which is props to them. They've got that action-orientated combat that they had from 2, which is one of the only good things I felt like 2 had in it. But they also have that whole tactical camera angle from the whole isometric point of view, which I think is incredible, because it means then as well, like you can play actiony and spammy, like almost like a Dynasty Warriors-esque, like slap stuff around kind of thing. But you can have the more tactical combat, or you can combine the two. Either way, I think that's fantastic. And
you can also switch perspectives. You could be playing your mage, and then on the fly, you could switch to your archer if you need a different vantage point in the game, or you could switch to your warrior where you're actually up in the face of one of the things that I saw was from the recent I think it was PAX or whatever, that was just recent gaming convention. They released a trailer of that happening where they're fighting a dragon, and they have a thing in this called combinations where you build it up over time, and you can do like headshots and things like that and concentrate on a certain body part. And I was like, that's really, really cool. And so and also multiplayer. This is going to actually have multiplayer in it, which is
that's cool.
Which seems contentious to some people. Like some people are like flaming it. Oh, EA are going to cash cow milk it or whatever. But like, I have faith that like BioWare know what they're doing, and as long as it's not going to be like, I don't know, microtransactional payments. If it's just here's an extra mode where it's just almost like the way I'm hearing and seeing it is like it's like co-op. Like almost like dungeon crawler-esque, a loot-driven game where you just build up a character, spec it.
It's not going to have anything to do with the main game, so it's totally separate from the main game.
Exactly.
So
well, that's good.
It's not going to affect your thing. And the biggest thing is the returning characters. That is the huge thing from Origins, like Liliana, Morrigan, who was probably the best character out of the game. Alistair, who actually became the King of Ferelden in the first. If you know anything about Dragon Age Origins, there was a thing called the Blight, and that's what they were fighting in Origins. And so it's just really cool to be able to revisit and see updated, you know, what has happened to these characters that you were invested in so much at that time, what they're like now, or what BioWare has envisioned them to be like now after so many years of being separated from them. Even Fleming, the dragon from the original, is coming back. Yeah. So I'm just like, wow, this is really cool. So I have really high hopes for this game. I think that this game is what Dragon Age 2 probably should have been.
Yeah, I completely agree.
But
there's loads of other cool stuff in it, like the whole playable characters thing. They've announced that there's going to be like 9 other playable characters for your party. And what's cool is that BioWare have even said that they properly interact with each other now as well. When they even when you go into different locations, 2 of your characters will have completely different dialogue, and even possibly open up different story arcs, or open up different areas, or show different loot depending on which 2 party members interact together. That kind of level of complexity is unreal.
No, I think you probably should. I mean, I would say play 1 first. I mean, just so you can get an idea of the game, and then skip 2. I think that you could probably skip 2, and then because you can also, one thing that they said, they're going to allow you to bring your characters from there too. So any type of interactions and any decisions that you've made in your original game will have effect and consequence.
Oh, that's cool.
In the new game too, which I think is awesome. Which threads it all together in a neat little bundle. So I'm really, that's like my biggest thing.
Because I mean, I have played those style of games before. I mean, like back in the day, I was a huge Baldur's Gate fan. The original Baldur's Gate, I played that.
Absolutely.
I've still got like the box with like.
Do you really?
And then it's got the fold-out thing, and it's got like 10 discs. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Baldur's Gate: Tales of the Sword Coast.
Yeah,
it's brilliant. Do you remember that, guys? Anyway, when you used to buy computer games and they were in like massive boxes.
Yeah, because they were on CDs. They weren't on DVDs. So you had each installation on a CD disc.
Oh yeah, I know. No, but it's in the actual big box. It's not just like the normal packaging there is now.
Absolutely.
It's like,
I love how we're showing our ages right now.
No, it was so good though. Like you just bought this massive box, and it was so much more satisfying.
It was, and that's why when DeathStar was talking about the brick and mortar store argument thing, like in a sense, I've not used them for years, and again, hypocrisy on my part. But I am going to be kind of sad to see them go. Same way that like when CDs have phased out, and it's more MP3. I like the idea of going to a shop, flicking through stuff, and getting that physical thing that you can, get the new smell of a box,
like that.
It's like the whole ritual that went along with it, and you feel like you've worked to get the item to bring it back, Whereas now everything's so instant gratification that, I don't know, I'm not as much
I remember back in the days when, when you would buy a box, especially like a game like, let's say this Inquisition's coming out, you would buy a box, you would go home, open it, you'd usually get a map of the world, you'd get really cool items, especially if you bought the collector's edition. You'd get like a pewter dragon or a keychain or something that you could like, okay, well, I bought this, nowadays you get the stuff in the game, and it's like you have the instant gratification that you get the cool stuff in the game, but you don't have anything outside of it to show that you ever owned it.
I know what you mean. Because when you get like the deluxe edition on Steam or whatever, and you get these extra items, and it's like you don't feel that special because about 1 million other people have bought this deluxe edition.
Yeah.
but if I could afford lots of collector's editions and have like big boxes, I would get them because it's so much cooler. It is like, and you have the little figurines, whatever, as you're talking about. I like that kind of stuff.
Nova, the classic example of what you were just talking about is Diablo 3. Right, pre-order that and get those angel wings. And I never saw anyone that didn't have those angel wings for ages.
Exactly. That's the point.
Everybody has them, and it's like, why? That's not exclusive at all. Like, it was a selling point for me to be like, get these cool exclusive wings that every other fucker has.
Yeah, no. It'll be exclusive in like 2 years when no one's playing the game. It's like...
exclusive to you only.
Yeah, exactly. No, I much prefer to have the little objects and stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
Much
absolutely.
Cooler.
Yeah, for a long time I had a coin. I don't even know whatever happened to it that I got when I got EverQuest. One of the expansions that had the name of the expansion was a gold-plated coin, and it was really cool. I mean, it looked awesome. It had the artwork of the box on the coin and stuff. It had the date that it came out. Yeah. And it was really cool. And it was like, you don't get that anymore. Those things just don't happen anymore because, again, like you said, it's cheaper to digitally download it than it is to pay for shipping, pay to box it. And I understand that's the way things are going, but that's nostalgia.
The old ways, the nostalgia vibes there. Yeah. But guess what I've been up to this week then?
Oh yeah, I was going to say we've kind of sidetracked a lot from that.
No, guess what I've been doing? I've been trying to find a hole in my life since Infinity Worlds for a card game. That's been one thing, and then just general variety gaming's been mine. Dawngate is one that I've been playing. That's been a really cool MOBA. Like, it's a weird one. I highly recommend you guys go and check it out. The reason why is I have no fucking clue, honestly. It's really generic in almost every way, yet it feels revolutionary in doing nothing. It's so weird. It's such an hyperbole, I know, but like...
What?
It's just... Yeah, I know. It's like... So I think the reasons why is because I think it's simple enough to pop in and play and not just feel like you've not got a clue what's happening. If you've had any MOBA experience at all, you'll feel at home in it. But because it's only got 2 lanes and the way they sort out some passive gold, I'll just call it, even though it's called Vim in this game, is through soul wells, which are an easily marked out point on the map, is really, really well done for people to just hop in and play. But it's got complexity to it as well, so that there's hopefully going to be an esport around it in the future. They've also explored the kind of, they have a webcomic that comes out, and things like people can vote on how that webcomic goes, and also that webcomic has an effect on purchasable skins for heroes and champions in the future as well, which I thought was a really cool, almost a PvE-esque way of doing things.
Nice little interaction.
And the developers are really, really good with their community, constantly streaming, constantly taking suggestions. Apparently the game has changed so much recently in a really positive way just by the way the community are talking about it, and you can grind heroes for free. So for me, that's been a really, really nice one. Then it's just been trying to find another card game at the minute. That's been such an interesting one.
Unfortunately,
I think we're all kind of in that boat at the moment.
I've never been a MOBA player, never League of Legends, and just never been my cup of tea. I've tried. I just can't.
MOBAs are
been able to get into it.
They're not for everyone.
But card games definitely into. Definitely wish I could find one. So if anyone out there watching this knows of any independent studios or whatever that has a card game that's coming out or whispers of one in the comments below, let us know. If you're a producer or or whatever, you have something you want to highlight, let us know. Absolutely, we would love to take a look at it and pick it apart and have Simon Cowell just say how bad it is.
Well, here's one. I wanted to actually rank cast about something.
Oh, is it Rantcast section?
Here we go.
Rantcast, everybody.
I'm annoyed by Hex. So this is one that I've been playing, and people on stream have watched me play it, and it's been great. It's been cool for a little bit until one viewer came on and pointed out one really obvious thing. And because I was in the kind of honeymoon period with the game where everything's fantastic and look at the shiny great, didn't really delve too deep into the deeper issues, and the guy pointed out a really obvious thing, which was don't you hate it because it's pay to win? I'm like, what do you mean? I haven't really considered that yet. And he was like, well, how do you buy cards? How do you get cards for free to play player versus player? And I was like, I don't know. Can you get any help with that? And he was like, yeah, you can't. You physically cannot do it. And I'm like,
really?
Yep, sorry guys, I'm going to cut the stream and play something else. I ended up playing Borderlands or something there because I was just like, I can't deal with that. I understand the argument, and people are going to say, look, Grave, it's cheaper than Magic, and Magic is, charges a lot of money for their boosters, and there's no such thing as free-to-play version of Magic as such. But there's a lot of other card games on the market that do that, and also Hex markets itself as free to play. And now I do understand, before anybody says otherwise, is that they are planning to bring in a player versus environment section to the game, which is going to be technically free to play, in that you get those there's 2 separate pools of cards, the way I've understood it, player versus player and player versus environment, and the player versus environment ones they're going to be able to grind for free. But I just don't
Okay.
like, in this day and age, in a digital format, like the idea of not paying. Maybe I've been a spoiled little brat by the other games
I
I've
understand where you're
played.
coming from. Like,
But the problem is that there's other games, other TCGs in the genre that can get me cards for free. Hell, I'm willing to put hundreds of pounds into games. I've put loads of money into other TCGs. It's just the idea that, I suppose, I worry for the community that I don't know how much is going to be able to grow and stuff through that. So I was just wanting you guys' opinion on that. Am I being too harsh on it? And actually, if it's a quality product, you won't mind paying for it? Or is it too much? That would be my question.
the thing is, like, if it is a quality product, as you say, if it is on the level of Magic the Gathering,
it's good. In some ways, it's better. It's better than Magic Online.
Then you potentially can justify it.
It's
But
just a tough one.
I know what you mean. In this day and age, where if they're marketing it as a free TCG, then that's not right, not even in the slightest.
No.
Yeah, it's something that we had talked about earlier, which I have. Again, I've never played it, so I'm speaking as a person who's never touched the game, because I don't have a beta key. But we will say this, that I don't like the fact that you have two totally different sets of card pools for playing two types of formats. I would feel like if I wanted to play player versus environment, so to speak, I don't want to have to. If I was to buy anything, I would want to have to buy money to be able to play PvP. Or to be able, if it is player versus environment, I can earn cards that I could play to PvP. I can't overlap them at all. To me, if it's free to play, then it should be free to play with the caveat that if you want to accelerate or whatever, you can buy packs or whatever.
Yeah.
I just don't like the fact that there's two separate card sets. That to me doesn't work for me.
I know what you mean.
Talking about WoW, having PvP armor and PvE armor. If you went in with your PvE armor, you would get totally owned.
Yeah.
Or go naked.
In their defense, I have heard the one caveat to this that I will state is that when the player versus environment stuff comes out, if I've got this correct, I've heard that their plan is going to be that you can use those cards to put on their auction house system, which then gives you the currency to be able to buy boosters for the PvP. The only problem I have with that is just really convoluted, and there's no guarantee anyone's going to buy your shit unless you make it ridiculously cheap, which makes it even longer to be able to grind. It's like a grind, then a wait to then potentially get something. It's a lot of waiting around,
I'd have to play the game to see how they manage, how they implement that. But it just, you're right, it seems convoluted to get people. If you want people to play and pay to play, then you should make it that way instead of making it so you play PvE and then you can get cards that you can sell in the auction house, so you can maybe sell them so you can buy cards, because then you have to. That's a whole another thing, because packs don't always get you what you want. So it just seems really I don't know.
How about this, to settle this in the comments section below and to settle the podcast in general? How about next time we go away this time and we look at the TCG genre. And as many games as you can get, and then maybe do like a little bit of a ranking or a little bit of a synopsis on what we think is out there right now. What do you guys think to that?
Okay, we can do that for next week.
I think that should be our first one, because I really would like, because I am in that position right now, so it's not only helping people that may be watching this, but it's also helping myself. I'm in a transitional period where I want to find good TCGs, so I'd love to hear informed decisions on that, and if we can get to that, that'd be great.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So that'll be our next.
All right,
next
there you
podcast,
go. Next week. Next week. That's right.
Yes.
Cool.
So I will play games that I said I would never play, just to see.
Yeah. We should do that every week as well. We should try and find a free to play game, all play it, and then all come back and review it.
That'd be cool. That'd be really good. But yeah, guys, if you've got any comments on that, if you've got any TCGs you want to recommend for us to check out before the next
or just any games in general,
please write them in the comments section below. We'd be grateful for any suggestions you guys have.
And I'd even be willing to try Hearthstone.
Because me and Grave haven't been playing it, have we?
No, we've not played any secret games off stream where we've played any Hearthstone together and actually had quite a lot of fun.
No, we've not done that. Why would we do that? No.
So
we'd be treacherous.
I will be fair in my review of it.
Objective, yes.
Yeah.
Objective.
Okay, so
cool.
we'll do that for next week. That'd be cool. Looking forward to that. All right, nice. Yes. As I said at the start, guys, this was people watching that. More we're testing the water on what we want to do with this podcast. As I said, it's still happening. We're not going to not stop it because I really want to do this. I wanted to do this for a while. So
Yes.
thank you for Gravecrawler and DeathStar for joining me doing this.
Oh, absolutely.
It's so much fun.
And if anybody has any suggestions on like formatting or anything any tangents they'd like to see the show go in, please let us know, because I really like the idea of reviewing games personally.
Yeah, I do as well.
If you guys just like us generically ranting, that's great as well. Or if there's anything,
criticism is definitely welcome.
Yeah.
We want to make this good. We want to make it as good as the other podcasts that we were doing. You know, even better. So definitely leave us constructive criticism. You know,
even
even
if it's
bad,
not directed at me is great. Yeah.
All right. all of it directed at Grave is good. So that's fine.
Please don't.
All right. So pretty much, yeah. So today we talked about Dragon Age, Borderlands, Archeage.
Yeah. To sum up, really interesting future games that we should all be very excited for one reason or another.
Next week as well, I do want to talk about Civ Beyond Earth as well.
That's fine. Sure. That's fine. I can definitely talk about that.
Oh my god, I can't wait for that game.
About their announcement and see what's going to be happening.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what
exactly. We'll talk about that as well. And I will have a look at Archeage. You've piqued my interest a little bit more.
Just a little bit.
Damn you. Damn you, man.
Come to the dark side.
If the podcast achieves nothing else, Nova could have his first MMO, his new MMO for it.
We'll see. All right, so from me and the rest of the PubCast, as we're calling it for now. So thank you very much, guys, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Peace out.